It's the last time oh, wait, no. We were together. A lot of us were together last night on Raul's stream, which was fantastic. It was kind of a deep subject, but man, I felt so good after that conversation of just discovering where people were and how they felt about the hobby. And I feel like the hobby is in good hands. There's a lot of great people in the chat that take care of it. I snuck into the chat earlier. You guys have been talking for like 40 minutes before this live stream even started. It's just kind of crazy. So I am not even going to attempt to try to backtrack and figure all this out, but just Slot R is up way past his bedtime. Dave, thanks for hanging out. Let's see. Who else do we have? Conquest is here. The Fingers is here. George, welcome. George is making coffee? No, somebody's making coffee. Shotgun Dave. Guys, welcome. Hey, Daryl. Hey, Gary. The Fingers is in the house, as always. If I miss some guys, hey, I apologize. But I'll try to give you some shouts out. But first things first, just kind of some rules of the chat. If you have a question, so I got some feedback that I'm missing some questions, and I apologize for missing questions. But if you have a question, put a capital Q first so it jumps out at me, and then write your question, and then I can try to save some of those and favorite them and go back and catch them and try to answer questions. So, guys, just some housekeeping things we'll take care of right off the bat. I do want to talk about our friends at Rost. Hey, Racer X. Welcome. Hey, Eric. Good to see you. Steven. What's up, man? But don't forget, did we lock up already? What's going on? I'm going to pull that off. Let's go back to the main. Check one. You still there, Kevin?
I'm here. Yeah,
okay, it looks like
your screen's frozen.
Yeah, it looks like my screen's frozen. I got to figure out what's going on. Give me just a second. This happened to me last week. Yeah, I know. I got people texting me, "Hey, your video's frozen."
At least it's a nice, flattering pose.
Yeah, isn't it, though? I'm just wondering if my computer is... What's causing my computer to... Okay. It's not my camera. All right. I am going to try something.
I broke it already.
I did break it. But... Unplug that. And plug that. Nothing's bringing my video back to live. Oh my gosh. And I wonder... Okay, I'm probably going to have to bail out and come back in. Kevin, you probably have to hit that link again and come back in or refresh.
No problem.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right. There we go. All right. I'm offline. So, there we go. Let's see if it brings us back. Hey guys, are we back? I am. So let me throw in a chat. Am I back? I have no idea why that keeps crashing, guys. I apologize. Thanks for hanging in there. I appreciate all of you.
Modern technology.
Modern technology. So, 2 lines. Grab some coffee. Take care of my buddy Rost. Trent at Rost. He is gracious enough to help the channel by giving away some free coffee. So we'll give some coffee away before the end of the night. But before we crash again, I think I figured out what may be causing it. My Stream Deck may have been the culprit, because once I unplugged it, things came back to life. We're not going anywhere. I appreciate that, guys. Thanks. But we have a special guest this week. Kevin Sharpe from Racetrack Scenics is joining us, and I'm going to go ahead and bring you in, Kevin. And welcome to Tuesday at 2 Lines. I'm excited about that. Guys, again, if you have questions, put a Q before the question. If you have anything for Kevin, as we kind of talk about his story in slot cars, his journey, and then we'll jump into Racetrack Scenics, and he's got all kinds of fun stuff to share about that story. And so we'll dive right in. Kevin, thanks, man. I appreciate you jumping on.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So,
anytime.
It's been quite a year for you. And I know that you're staying pretty busy, and that's exciting, but probably stressful as well. But how did you get into all this? Like, when did slot cars start for you? And tell us a little about your journey.
Well, hello everybody, by the way. So thank you for being here. I started, as a kid. I just loved slot cars since I was as early as I could remember. And my father always had a part-time job when I was growing up. He worked for General Motors, but he always seemed to have like a part-time job. So one of those part-time jobs was at a commercial racetrack in Michigan. And one of my earliest memories was going to this place the size of a bowling alley where all these people are racing these cars. And it was super exciting, and it's something that I always seemed to come back to. He gave me his slot car box or boxes, and it would be worth a fortune had I not played them into disintegration.
Sure.
And then there was a slot car, I always had HO sets. And then I remember the slotless TCR cars. We loved those. We had a lot of those growing up. Then up until about 1983 is when they closed the last big slot car hobby shop in Michigan that I remember. It was called Tiny Tim's, and I would go there every weekend, every Saturday morning without fail. I just loved it until I got a car and discovered girls and music. And about the same time, they closed down. So it was kind of a natural progression. I didn't miss it too much, but I'd be at a garage sale and there'd be an old 1/32 scale slot car set, and I would have to buy it. And it seemed like, prior to the internet, and the a home racing world online was one, and I discovered Professor Motor through them. So about the time my son hit 4, it was, had to do it for him, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
for him. So anyway, so when he has grandkids, I'll have to do it all over again. Just kidding.
That's right. Well, I mean, how else are you going to promote the hobby if you don't share? I mean, it's all about sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I built a big set, and then I was in the music business for, primary source of income was something related to music business in bands, and then running a recording studio. And like when your music was a kind of a hobby, right? So
Yeah.
what do you do when you get home from your fun job? You know, you have to find a new hobby. So I started to do slot cars again once I discovered Professor Motor, and that was about 2007, 6, 7 or so. Started to build a track, but nothing like, but we were always moving. So
Right. Sure.
but now we're stable, and then this phase of it, this Racetrack Scenics thing, really started during COVID, after I had remodeled the basement, reorganized the garage, found every missing sock, reorganized the junk drawer. All those things were done. It got to be wintertime, and somebody was advertising on Facebook Marketplace some Carrera track. So I went and bought that, and it took over that, my house in Michigan. And about that time, I discovered Boone's Slot Car Garage.
Right.
Started watching those videos and got out some balsa wood and started making things. And bought one of Boone made a couple extra Esso guys. So I was like, man, I really like one of those. So he was nice enough to send me one, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it kind of went from there. And around that time, there was a gentleman, Johan, who's my now partner in Racetrack Scenics. I asked him to design something. He was at that point offering plans to be laser cut. So you would be, he's got like a pit building. You pay him $8 and he'd send you the plan.
Oh, okay.
And I thought that was cool. And I had a friend that had a laser machine. So, I did a couple of those things. Then I asked him to design something for me from some pictures, watching, old videos and stuff. And I saw this, collection of signs. I thought they'd look really great on my slot car track. So I asked him to design something for me and send him pictures. And that's the photo that I sent you.
Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can throw it up so guys can see it.
So I asked him to do this historic corner from a racetrack or a track in France. I think it's called Charade or something like that. But anyway, they're just this really amazing collection of shell signs, and he did it, and we started to talk more rather than me just buying the plan and making whatever it is. And then it was about the summer. Yeah, there it is. The shell corner. Yeah. It's one of my, it was, the first design that we really collaborated on. And I did a few more things. And, but at that time, COVID was ending, and I got asked to go to be the sound man for this major rock band, which I was real excited about. And I knew I had to commit to 18 months. Oh my. And we were moving we moved from Michigan to North Carolina at the same time. So, long story short, I'm supposed to go out on tour to be the sound man, tour buses and everything. I'm real excited about that, but somewhat not excited about it at the same time, because this was something we had planned prior to COVID, and now COVID's over, and then we're going out on tour. So, but anyway, at the end of getting set up for this tour, someone in the band quit, and the new guy that they got had somebody that was a different sound man, and he said, it's me and my two closest friends or nobody. So they ended up letting me go, which sounds like a horrible thing, and it was actually a horrible thing for about 5 minutes. And then I realized I'm going back to North Carolina to my brand new house with my family, which is cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to make this a blessing. So I mentioned to Johan, said, man, and I'm sorry for not looking right in the camera.
Oh, you're fine.
I said to Johan, we need, let me be your distributor in the United States. And I wasn't thinking we were going to design anything new. I thought the stuff that he had was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And, and I figured, hey, we'd sell 5 or 6 of these things a week. I'd make them on my laser, and I'd make an extra, I'd make an extra $100 a month so I could buy more slot cars and nobody could say anything about it. Right.
Right. Sure.
And that was the plan. And so I
Fund the
bought
hobby.
my first. Yeah, it was going to be just an augmenting hobby. I'll make a few things for myself, and can tell my wife, I'm selling a few of these things. It makes sense. It's all cool, and we're thinking 10 units a week would be amazing. It would be like, wow, that would be fantastic. So, and that's where we started in November of 2021.
Okay.
Website started in January of 2022. I went to Daytona. We go to Daytona 24 hours every year, or Rolex 24.
Yeah.
So we went there, and I had an idea for this spotter tower or camera tower that they have at Daytona. And Johan and I, within a week, had a new design. And it was really, it's been our most popular. Probably it's hard to tell because it's our oldest product, but it's become a very popular product. And it kind of snowballed from there. And worked 60 hours a week on these designs and learning how to use the laser and all that stuff. And then sometime about end of May of last year, Dave Kennedy mentioned me on his show, and it went from, 5 to 6, 7, 8 units. A good week was a couple $100. And we were like, wow, we did a couple $100 of slot car stuff. This is great. And I was super excited about it, and, we had like 5 or 6, 8, 7 products. And we were starting to, I wanted to build a wood routed slot car track. So, the Michelin Bridge on his track, that's cool. Yeah. So I started building that, but then Dave mentioned this, and we had like 100 orders or 100 units 1 week. And I'm scrambling to make that. You're making 5 or 6. If you mess up 1 or 2 and you notice it and you fix it, make another one, it's not that big a deal. You make 100 or something and you realize you made a mistake on it and you had to make it again. It's a little trial by fire. So, but since then it's been a blessing and it's grown. And I was telling you earlier, one of the nicest thing about this is to be in a community of people that like the same stuff you do.
That's right.
Yeah. We were mentioning. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
My last comment before I end my prepared speech here, which isn't prepared, but a lot of people argue about analog and digital magnets, 132nd, 143rd, HO, all that stuff. I don't really care what it is. If it's a slot car and I pick it up for a magic moment, I'm 10.
That's right.
I'm 10 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have a mortgage to worry about. I don't have to, think about anything for 5 seconds. For that one brief second, I feel like a little kid. Or not a little kid, but 10 years old. Where breathing's fun. Running around outside and playing frisbee is fun. Playing with slot cars is amazing. You don't really have a lot of worries when you're 10, and I get to feel like that. And I still feel like it when we're making new products. The shame of this is that I very rarely race my cars anymore. Or actually use my track.
Right.
It's in shambles at the moment. And
so were you able to complete the wood track that you?
I did, and George came over from Area 51 and checked it out when it was almost completed, and then I completed it, and then we moved out of the garage into the new space. So I have a lot more space. So I want to expand. I actually took it apart, and it's made to be disassembled.
Okay.
So, like easily, like you could take it apart in 3 sections and then put it back together in 5 minutes. So,
nice.
And it is a product that I hope to offer to people because it's, kind of the best of both worlds, because you can take it apart, stick them under your bed, and then take it out and have a 12-foot long slot car, 12-foot by 4-foot track. Sure. And it could be even longer than that because you could do it in modules.
Right.
Which isn't really a new idea, but I think we did it in an innovative way because you can mass produce it on my lasers.
Oh, nice.
So
yeah,
it's not routed like a typical track. It's repeatable.
Okay. I've put a lot of thought into that. I would like to try my hand at building a wood routed track just for the fun of it, and so I've been dreaming up ideas of ways to make it simple and easy. I have a friend who has a large CNC that I thought,
Yes.
man, we could take advantage of that. And I could probably keep him busy because there's always people looking for, just an easier way to build wood tracks. So no, that's cool. I'm glad you were able to get it completed. I think that I jumped in the hobby kind of about the same time. And I remember, I remember Dave mentioning your stuff, and then the reaction of the community in the chat. It's like people were hungry for scenery. My layout, I do not have much scenery. I'm always shopping on your site, trying to figure out what I have space for and what I'd like to add. I've added some billboards just on kind of like the back wall to protect cars from falling off. But like you've got some great products out there, and it seems like you're introducing something new all the time. So like, what's the process of coming up with new ideas? Is it just something you see from an old video that you like? You seem to like, for me, you have a lot of the old, like Le Mans, Sebring, some of the old raceways, some iconic stuff. So obviously you like that era of racing, that 60s, 70s era, but like where are you finding new inspiration for new products?
Well, trying to find things that are different, that haven't really been done before. That was originally, and it still is, kind of the thing. And our process of thinking about something, you see something nobody's done before, because a lot of stuff is based on Goodwood or the classic stuff that Skelectric has done, and Magnetic Racing's pretty much got that covered, and they make fantastic products. So
right.
My original thought was we don't need to do anything that they do. So one of the first original projects was the Sunoco Tower from Daytona, like I was talking about. Then we did some various signs, the Pirelli sign and things like that. But the process is, I'll spend some time looking at YouTube, because it's amazing. Racing has been such a spectacle. If you look long enough, you could probably find whatever race happened in 1957 covered in some sort of newsreel or video, and more get posted. So I look for things that are interesting there.
Yeah.
I've been visiting a lot of tracks lately. Most being in North Carolina, there's a lot of tracks to visit. So
sure.
I try to walk away with one thing that I'd like to do from there. Johan is the same thing. He looks through different, things and finds things that interest him. A lot of times the customer said, hey, can you do this from that track? And that'll look really interesting, and we'll do that. A lot of the modern stuff, it's kind of generic, and there isn't like the uniqueness of, say, the flying bridge from Watkins Glen, or
right.
We're going to be doing, let the cat out of the bag. We're going to do some stuff from Indianapolis from the 60s and 70s. We've already done a bunch of stuff from Daytona. So a lot, Riverside was the first one. We fell in love with Riverside and did just about everything that you can find there.
Yeah.
The Goodyear sign, the Camel sign, the Sunoco Racing Fuel sign, which is a kind of a modern one, the Budweiser sign, the big tower, the Riverside Tower.
Yeah. You've got a lot from that track, which is really, really cool.
I asked myself why this track was fascinating, and then somebody brought up that in another conversation that the Riverside Tower is in Herbie the Love Bug movie.
Yeah.
And I remember watching that as a kid.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
You couldn't watch a whole lot of racing when Can-Am was over with, and you had the Wide World of Sports, so you had some stuff, and but it wasn't, like now you can find so much stuff. So.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have. I remember coverage as a kid. Most of the racing you watched was on Sunday afternoon with Wild World of Sports. And and they would cover different things. So you might get a Formula One race, you might get a Can-Am race, or what's IMSA now, and it was cool to see that stuff. And then when ESPN came around, that's when the Formula One coverage really got better in the States, and then it disappeared because of contracts and things. And so like through the 90s, I really lost touch with Formula One. And then you go through all the kart and IndyCar problems that they had back in that day.
Was it Champ Car that was kind of open wheel?
Yeah.
That was like Will Power was in that. And I was watching that. But it's back to the original question. It's like we see something that we like, and it can be made with using our processes. Johan will start doing a design, and then I'll build it. And he's in South Africa, and I'm here, and we've never met personally. And I think we've talked over in actual speaking voices twice, maybe for a minute, but it's usually texting. So our process is different than other people. It's very he does something, sends it to me, I build it, I give him my input, I show him pictures, and I send it back to him. Ideas start with his ideas, my ideas, or customer ideas, and we'll make a bunch of them until it's right, and see if people would like to buy them. One of the reasons we have so many products is because that's what's fun for us to do, to make the first one, and I'm making it for myself, for my track, and my track that I hope to get set up and have it all nice again. But we don't need to, this isn't like a big company where we have to think in terms of, well, we're going to make this thing, and if we don't sell 100 of them, it's not worth our time. We enjoy the process of making it, designing it, recreating. I mean, we just released a product today from a picture, and it's a lot of these buildings from tracks you don't see in pictures because that's where the camera guys are, in these towers. So they're taking pictures of, I talked about this with Boone the other day or a few weeks. Everybody's taking pictures of the drivers and the cars, and it's like, what about that sign?
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoy. I spend a lot of time on YouTube, obviously, and watching old Le Mans races and the advertising that's everywhere on the bales of straw along the turns, and with people standing just on the other side of bales of straw watching the race, which is crazy to think about. Yeah, it's amazing to think about now. But some of the great stuff that's one of my favorite pages. If I brought up your website, I really love the old billboards and the old signs. That's one of my favorite things. The gantries are really cool. The Dunlop Bridge, like just iconic, right? But I love the old advertising, and I think that's what you guys do all of that really, really well. And obviously a lot of guys in the chat have bought stuff from you because they were all bragging about what they like that you built. So it's really humbling because, again, I was thinking 5 or 6 of these things a day, and we have 180 products on the website. Wow.
In 3 different scales, and I'm in the process of trying to get them all in stock. Okay, so that's an epic thing in itself. So I have 4 laser machines, 2 big production machines and 2 smaller ones. And I have one doing, like, if someone needs the Dunlop Bridge or whatever that I need to make for that day, I'll make 12 of them. So the next time I don't have to make it.
Sure.
And then I have a second big machine that I do. It's a one-off, or like it's a larger item, and you can only make one at a time. So I'll make that for that day's shipment. And but yeah, it's been humbling to be a part of so many people's slot car tracks and add to the enjoyment and add some variety to things. And I love the signage. It's like, I think the signs, the advertising, the cars changed a lot. But if you look at like the signs didn't change that much year to year at Le Mans or year to year at Monaco or whatever. So that's like the cars, the drivers might change, but the iconic part of the atmosphere of the racetrack.
Right.
And I enjoy, like on my track, it's like I love racing slot cars. I always have. Not very good at it. Like I probably have never won a race. I probably lose against, if it was just playing solitaire, I'd probably lose the race. But when you can recreate the atmosphere of a real racetrack, I think it adds so much enjoyment to it. And when I discovered Boone's site and he was doing these things that were made simple, I was like, I could do that. Get me a laser.
That's
Because that's like I had been, even prior to doing this, I had had some stuff done for an unrelated, not slot car or hobby related thing on a laser. I'm like, that's really cool. I want to get myself one of those because it's like one of the things I always have trouble with is cutting a straight line or measuring it and getting it right the first time. Measure it twice and cut it once. So having a laser and be able to repeat things and make things nice and square are really what made me fascinated about the process.
sure. And then upgrading to some larger commercial cutter, lasers, that probably has helped speed up the production for you.
Yeah, absolutely. The first laser that I had would, for example, cut 1 millimeter a second.
Okay.
So if you were at 1 millimeter a second, you could do a typical kit maybe in 4 hours. And if it was wrong, you'd have to start over or redo one part. So that's like you're 4 hours away from, and 3D printer guys know this too. It's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's not a quick process. And if something, it's perfect 3/4 of the way through and then something goes wrong, it's just big disappointment. And my thought was, because this laser was very inexpensive, I got time. I can wait. I'll multitask, do something else. But waiting 3 hours or 4 hours for something is excruciating, even if you're doing something else. So yeah, when we upgraded with the first big machine, and George was there, not when I first got it, and it was now it's 40 millimeters a second. So
That's a game changer.
Faster. Yeah, definitely.
Unbelievable.
One of the products that we developed prior to getting the big machine was a very elaborate double elevated track system that you could have one track going over the other in together, like the roads of Chicago.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to make it. So it'd take me 3 days to make 6 feet of this. And it's got girders, and I posted a picture on Facebook recently. And we're bringing it back because now I can manufacture it in such a way people could actually afford it. Yeah. Or I could produce it cheap enough so I could sell it to somebody.
Sure.
And not lose money on it. But what I think, and I think that will be a game changer product for a lot of layouts, because a lot of people have, maybe have 12 feet by 4 feet to work with. And if you could, double up a big portion of the back straight with that, you can add about an extra 10 feet to your layout and have it really look cool, because it kind of has that car chase through Chicago vibe where they have the train over the road or whatever. And it's,
the L train. Yeah, the elevated.
Yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, the machines are a big game changer. Yeah.
Is that your most elaborate product?
No, well, probably the most elaborate product would be the Riverside Tower.
Okay.
And then we did a couple different unique buildings from Reams, like the block habitat. That's got a lot going on in it. It's interesting to see the progression from making a static sign that's maybe just like an easel, or it's got 2 or 3 parts, to something that has 400 or 500 pieces. It's been a great journey. It's been fun.
Yeah. So when you go to your website and you look at all the products, a lot of them you have painted up and they look completed. Do all of the kits come that way, or most of them are paint yourself?
All of the kits, they come as a kit. It's flat packed like IKEA. In general, the ones that you're seeing are painted one color or possibly 2.
Okay.
so it's really anybody could do it, and all of the artwork is included. And if it's a complex shape, like there's any curves to it, or there's an interior cut, like if you look at the SO guy, there's a couple spots. I cut laser cut that, so it's you just put it on.
Oh,
So
nice.
and most of the signs look fine without any paint at all, because all of the graphics are included. And all of the parts, like if you buy a building, you can assemble it with the base and the roof off. So you can paint this main structure white or gray, and then the roof another color, and the floor another color, and then put it back together. So you don't have to worry about masking things.
Okay. Really? So you put a lot of thought into the assembly of that to help out the end user.
For the most part, I want it to be as easy to make and a one evening affair for anything, with a few exceptions. One of the things that got me when I was a kid, you'd buy, this model airplane or, whatever, and you wouldn't finish it because you broke something, you lost something, or it was complicated, or you didn't follow the instructions, or you didn't do it well enough. And for me, if it's not relatively okay, I can't even look at it. It's just a failure to me. So,
sure.
I remember enjoying the snap tight models a lot more so than the elaborate ones where you have the motor and the interior is all that perfect and all that stuff, because I was, an impatient child, and I still am somewhat impatient. So without sacrificing too much realism, we really try to make everything as simple as possible.
Yeah.
And snap together, almost.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that, because I was that same kid. When I started a model kit, I wanted to see it all the way through to completion immediately. So painting things, anything that slowed me down from getting it, assembled was frustrating. And so, the snap tight stuff was fun because everything was prepped and ready. All you had to do was put it together.
That's kind of how I don't want anybody to spend. I mean, there's some products that we have that you can spend a long time on. And I would like it to be a great building block so people can customize it and make it whatever they would like it to be. Especially like the kiosks, the buildings, and things like that. I hope that people just don't, build it and that's it. I hope that we've had I would say the vast majority of our customers are like that. They see, the basic of the building is there. Now I can add the, if there's a refrigerator in a kiosk or a menu or something like that.
Sure.
So it's really, they're left to be somewhat personalized, and we like to recreate a lot of historical things, but like I love when people do something completely different than what, and people, is it okay if I post this picture because they completely changed it?
Yeah, sure.
The kit. And I'm like, sure, please. It's great. And, or when someone paints it not the color that it was originally, but it's amazing because I don't think like that. So, I see these things and I'm like, wow, that's a great creative way. That's why I practically almost paint all of the things a little off white. And then I'll just paint some of the parts a different colors so you can see that it's a different detail.
Right.
But I'm really not trying to spend a whole lot of time trying to make the example models something someone else couldn't do with one can of spray paint, some glue, and so a little bit of patience.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that people can't spend hours and hours and add like interior details. And
sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think some people are at different levels, right? You have people who are at Boone's level, that is incredible work with high detail, and I would put Raul in that, Conquest Racing, very detailed, into them, and then you have people like me who, like that detail gets lost on me a little bit. I love the signage and I love that building, but it doesn't have to, for me, it doesn't have to have little people in it or anything like that, or a kitchen sink or, that kind of detail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need that. So the fact that you can kind of do that, you can go to the extreme if you want, or you can, the basics are there too. So I think that's what makes your products great. There's one question, I threw it up here. Slot Journal says, ever thought about selling some modular parts like stairs, bare gantries, platforms, doors, windows, stuff that would help scratch builders save time?
Certainly have thought about that. We have a backlog of 35 products that I have to finish and release. Once we get through those, but if you order something, you could always request me throw in an extra staircase or something. I'm happy to do that. But yeah, that is a building materials thing is on my list to get to by this summer.
Yeah, that's cool. So Slot Journal, there's your answer.
One of the things that I think that would really benefit the hobby is like we do a lot of elaborate engravings, like to be cinder blocks or bricks, things like that, and an entire sheet of that somebody could then use and cut up to make whatever it is that they would like out of it is something that I definitely plan on doing soon. So you can like if you have a back wall and you want it to be brick, yeah, or cinder block or something like that. I want to sell sheets of that in large sections. So that's one thing that I plan on doing. As far as stairs, and I'd have to look into that on how to do it so that people could actually use it.
Right. Another question from Conquest. Will you sell your cut files so I can cut using my laser up here in Canada?
That's been discussed a lot.
I'm sure.
Yeah. It's we're not in the business of selling the cut files, even though that Johan started. That's where we kind of started. Some of his early designs are being, sold in countries, over. I mean, there's one particular design being sold in Germany, and they're sold at, 200 of them or something like that on eBay, because you can see how many have sold on eBay, and that's one of his early designs before we get involved. And he sold that for $8, and somebody has made 200 of them. Yeah. So once the design is in the wind, and
yeah, I get that.
Everybody has the best of intentions, but we're really want to make kits and sell kits, not designs.
Sure. Yeah, I've actually, Raul has talked about this a bit. I think that what his offer might be is being a Canadian distributor for you.
That we can discuss, and if we had a trusted agreement, built a relationship, I hope to set up. We have a relationship with Sven from Slot Racing Studio in Germany, okay, and he is our EU distributor. I see in the future, if things go the way planned, I will go there and set up a shop there so we can manufacture the products there.
Gotcha.
Rather than making them, because MDF is dense and heavy, and then there's import taxes and fees, and it's almost as expensive to ship something to Canada, which I don't quite understand.
Yeah.
But why, and growing up in Detroit, we used to just drive stuff across the border and then ship it from inside Canada to somewhere else in Canada.
Right.
But yeah, I do see, a trusted partner in Australia or and building the relationship with Sven in the EU, and then maybe somebody in Canada that wants to do it. But the thing is, the machine, you're looking at a $10,000 investment for the machine that I'm currently using, and then having to get the same kind of material.
Yeah.
It may, MDF is quite common, 3mm MDF, but I'm not just using like you can get it off Amazon, right, MDF. Being that I'm in North Carolina and there's still some furniture manufacturers, I'm using it's called super refined MDF. It's the stuff to make cabinet doors out of.
Right.
And it's far superior in the manufacturing process than the ordinary stuff. So, but yeah, I would love to find a partner. I would love to have somebody in Canada that I could ship like 100 kits to, and then they could distribute it to other people in Canada, because it's like $35 plus they have to pay duty or
Right.
customs or whatever
Yeah.
to send a $10 kit.
Yeah, that's right.
It's really, I've even taken, shipping to Canada down, because they also have this other thing that I use a shipping service. So I have account my credit card, and I sent
Yeah.
something to Canada, and there was something happened, and instead of it being the $38, which was already way too much, they charged me an additional $109. So I was like, no.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they don't give me an opportunity to get that money back either. It's
Yeah.
just because it was just a little bit too big. And meanwhile, I use UPS store to pack the stuff. So
Yeah.
it's a challenge.
Yeah, I think you would have some interest. I mean, what I've learned through my live stream is there is a large population of slot car racers in Canada. So I think that's probably that might be a good move for you. But
My initial thing that I would like is to have somebody be a distributor.
Yeah.
And have them ship them product, and then two ways you could do it. You could do it as a fulfillment, where I send them the stuff and then they just ship it to the end user when I sell it and collect the money, and then they get money.
Yeah,
So there's
sure.
there's no risk for them, because I'm going to front the product to them.
Right.
And then, or a typical retailer where they buy it at a significant discount, but they have to buy so many kits, and then they can sell it at their leisure. And we're actually working on a dedicated product line for retail stores, because we put out so many different things, and there's so many different modifiers, and you can order it with this thing or without that thing, and
Sure.
With the holes and without the holes, and retailers can't do that. So we've actually come up with a product line that's kind of like the classics, the grandstand,
Sure.
the pit thing, because there's the enthusiasts like we are, that this is our life, and then there's guys that just want to play slot cars with their kid, or
Right.
grandkid, and they buy something off of eBay and they want to put it together and put the Hooters sign on it and call it good. Whereas that's a market that I'd like to reach. So we're going to have a product line that's specifically for that.
Yeah. I threw this up here. Jim Carson said he purchased the Riverside Raceway Tower and some signs. He said that Riverside Raceway used to be local to him. So yeah, so you have like people like that who have an attachment to something from their history, and they want that on their slot car track, right? And that's what you're providing. Which I think is so cool. So you've got some great products. Anything you want to highlight off of your website?
We're finally releasing the last of the Reams products, which I'm excited about. We just released the Marlboro Tower, which was from San Marino, this one-off photo that I found.
Okay.
I think it was posted on Facebook, actually, and I'm like, that's cool. And it's going to have different liveries. I already have an AGIP livery, but we're gonna do a Gulf livery, so it doesn't have to be Marlboro. I've got the elevated track system, which if you check out my Facebook, you can see a picture of that. I love the signs. It's the simplest thing. So the SO signs, the two little signs, they're like $7 to $9 or something like that.
Yeah.
Sell hundreds of them. I think those are cooler than most of the are just as cool as some of the big things that we sell.
Yeah, I would agree. I just think they look great up on your track, and as simple as it is, just adding a billboard, but they look fantastic.
And all of those simple billboards you could put your own artwork on them. People, I'm going to do this. It's like you don't even have to ask me. Please do it. It's use it as a starting point. If you don't like if you want to put a Pennzoil or Valvoline on there, please do it. It's like and if anybody buys anything and they need a template so they can cut the artwork perfect, I can email that to them. It's the signage. To me, I love the signs. We just there's a SO collection that we put out about a month ago, and it's starting to really take off now. It's like 5 or 6 SO signs, with the drip and dripette in the
Yeah.
car, and
Right. Yeah.
that's those
Happy
things that I
motoring.
think are just, you can add that to any track, and it just makes it fun. It's just fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I always just want things to be fun. I love the Riverside Tower, and thank you to there's 20 or 30 of those out there. That's an expensive thing. I mean, it uses so much wood. I probably don't make any money on it, but that's a big investment to spend $179 on a kit that some guy in North Carolina made for you. So I appreciate the faith in that. And when we built the first one, it was like a very stressful thing, because it's like, oh, is this going to work? This is pretty ambitious. As much as I love that, it's those $7-8 signs that just add fun to things,
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Yeah. I agree. That's what I need to get an order in for some billboards. And I know that you've got some sets. I really like that SO set. There's like a 3-piece set, where one's a double sign stacked, and then two.
Yeah, the Le Mans,
Yeah, the Le Mans.
we call the Le Mans signs.
Yeah.
And that's what you can do with those. To highlight something is buy one in each scale. Buy one set, in 64th, one in 43rd, because if all these signs are all different sizes, like, scale really matters if you're going to buy a garage or a tower or something. But the signage, they'd stick those little signs everywhere, and you can build, like, photographers call it depth of field.
Yeah.
But you can put all these signs, because they'd stick them wherever they could find them, and they would put them wherever they thought the camera would be pointed at. Because at first I was like, why? They put all these signs. Are those signs there during the rest of the year when people are driving through? Is there a martini sign every 500, every 15 feet,
Right.
And no, they'd go put those things up the week before the race, and they'd find out where the camera nests are and put as many signs where the cameras are going to point as possible.
Yeah.
It
still happens today on the track.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
And we have a question. What radius is the curved grandstand? What size track
I don't
will it
have
fit
that.
on?
If you could email me, I don't have that in offhand. However, it was made to go alongside a Carrera R1.
Okay. So, yep, Carrera R1.
Yeah, most of the stuff, we love other track things, but that's what, most of the stuff's made because I have a Carrera track. So, and it seems to be quite a popular track. But a lot of it's a 30-degree radius. Is what the diameter is. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that answers his question.
I can email me. I can give you that information.
Okay. Looking through. I told you I didn't want to keep you. We're heading towards 9:00, and
I drank some coffee. Let's keep going.
Are you good? Okay, cool.
I'm going to answer questions or whatever.
Yeah,
let's see. I don't mean to come off as like this goofy guy, but what I really feel like is, this is fun. We really enjoy it. Johan and I both really enjoy it. It's nice to make a few dollars so we could buy, a bigger laser, because there's bigger lasers than I've got. I mean, 53 by 36 is pretty big, right? It's like having a mini, little, or a Fiat 500 in your garage. But better tools so we can make neater and better stuff. And having I would love to have a big CNC machine so I could CNC, a 4x8 sheet to make, eventually make slot car tracks that people could, wood track that people could afford. Because I don't know if when you want to buy a wood slot car track that's routed from someone, if they're a known builder, they're usually, they're not sitting there waiting for you. Oh, your custom sign, it's ready to go. I just had to finish up some. This is for George.
Yes, George.
Area 51. Yeah, we have it done. I just have to make it for you.
Nice. So you are interested in some custom work if it's simple stuff, or?
Well, we love suggestions. If it's something that if we see something that, somebody wants a particular thing, um, and we think we can sell 5 or 6 of them, we'll just make it.
Oh
As
yeah,
far as doing some custom work, we've gotten so busy making the kits for everybody. It's been difficult to put the time into that. Um, I'm hoping once we're working towards having everything in stock,
right.
and I'm maybe 6 weeks away from that. So I could say, I got everything stocked. Somebody orders something, I can ship it the next day, which people would really appreciate.
Sure.
And from stock, and then we can go back to doing some more custom stuff.
Yeah, that's
Because
cool.
early on we weren't so busy, and we took on a lot of custom stuff, and we're literally finishing up something that we took on in Christmas time right now, and I feel bad for the gentleman that commissioned it, but it's hard to, especially larger items, it's hard to put
Yeah,
the time into it any longer.
sure. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, and especially if you're trying to fill orders, I think that's probably an important piece to your success moving forward, is being able to get that stock at a place where you can ship some items out much faster and take some pressure off of you. So, yeah, John Albright is like, if area and size are given, can building be custom built?
We can modify existing designs very easily.
Okay.
So we modify bridge sizes and things in gantries. So that's not really custom work. That's like modifying something that's already done.
Yeah.
So that's not really a problem. Custom work would be like, you want, the turn 3 grandstand from Indianapolis or something like that. That would be something I would put off for now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a secret Weber. Racetrack Scenics has awesome kits, and their customer service is incredible. So you're getting a lot of compliments, Kevin.
Well,
So
I don't, this is fun. It's stressful because I try to get as much done in one day. Each day is like, I want to like get all my orders shipped. I want to prototype something, and I want to have time to dream of the next thing, take pictures or something like that.
yeah,
And, one of the things I think I touched upon this earlier is like the best thing about this, we don't need to make 100 of something to make it a profitable thing.
sure.
And sometimes we'll make something, just one of them, because we want it for our track. So I love when people send me pictures of things and say, "Hey, why don't you do this from this racetrack?" And I may not have ever heard of that, and it'll open doors to like researching this particular track from Wisconsin. Hit the like button, please.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, I would just, it just made me think that, you've gained so many products. A lot of it has come from those kind of ideas. And then maybe it's pretty simple. If somebody has an idea and they send you a picture, you already have something that's very close. All you have to do is modify, and maybe it's a little easier than maybe people think. So sometimes, because I would feel bad asking to do something custom, but maybe it's a lot easier for you than most people think. So don't be afraid to ask, right?
Yeah. If you would like, we did a custom sign for George. He's got one already, and then we have another one that's ready to go. Something like that isn't really that big a deal to do.
Yeah.
It's when you want this, complicated structure with, multiple staircases and, stained glass windows and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But one of the reasons a lot of things are very similar, like you were saying. One of the reasons we did the Reims pit is it's almost exactly the same as every one that was made in that era. And I speculate that the FIA or whoever was handling the early racing probably had guidelines to what the pit box should be.
Yeah.
So when Racetrack was going to say, this is what we need to have for you to host a race. So if you look at all of the early pit boxes from that era, they're all very similar. And that translated over to Watkins Glen and early Sebring. They're almost all exactly the same. They're not these elaborate garages. They're basically places to toolboxes and stuff, and in a place where there's not going to get rained on.
Right. Yeah. It's just get stuff
And
out
it
of the
was
weather.
later on that they've got the full-on garage and the VIP area above, and
Right.
so.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely racing has changed. I mean, like any other sport, luxury suites and things like that make big money. And so they've added those kind of things to the track. But I'm like some of the most fun I've ever had is at my local dirt track. But they've done the same thing there. If you go there compared to 20 years ago, they have kind of a luxury box now and some inside viewing space on top of the grandstands, and I understand the progression that they need that, but yeah, I kind of miss it's fun to go back and watch some of that old race footage because just some really cool things.
Wouldn't it be awesome to be able to go to like Le Mans? Like, had they saved 4 of the pit building, 4 of them,
Yeah.
they didn't save them because they were so decrepit by this point, and they were, they were added onto, so the foundation was never adequate to really support it. So when they had to, modernize it, they couldn't save any of it. It
Sure.
basically fell down. That's one of the, what was fascinated us and other people, lots of people with Reims, is basically was left there and, was swallowed by, the woods and flora and fauna. And then one day the people came and cleaned it all up and saved it. And it's been left the way it was. In North Carolina, where I live, there's North Wilkesboro, which we did the starter stand or the flagman stand. I went to the first race that they had when they restored it, and they didn't restore it.
Yeah.
They just made it safe. So
Yeah.
it was like walking back 30 years to, where when Dale Earnhardt was racing there and stuff. And they have just made it, tore down what they couldn't fix, but then left everything and didn't repaint anything and left it the way it was. It was just glorious for me to be there because it was, I had no connection to it because I didn't grow up here, but
Sure.
I liked, it meant a lot to the community, and you could feel the buzz of the people around there. And then there's another racetrack called Bowman Gray, which is in Winston-Salem, and it's a football field and a racetrack. It's been there since the 30s, and it's largely unchanged. So going there is like going back in time, and it's left it the same. And there's a lot of soul to it, and
yeah,
but I don't quite get the same feeling going to Daytona because I remember, the grandstands are all new.
right.
There's nothing, except for the actual track is really the same.
Yeah, I think people appreciate the nostalgia of being able to walk in and it feel like they walk back in time. I remember when my brother and I, we were kids, we were driving to Myrtle Beach for vacation, and we drove past Darlington, and my dad was like, "We're stopping," and so we pulled in and walked out on the track and got to, and that was before they had flipped the track, and it was like old Darlington. And now, it's totally different. They've, fixed all the issues and problems and improved all the amenities. And so I'm sure walking in feels different, but having a chance to see some of those, I feel like I have a podcast and with a friend of mine who's the chamber director here locally, and we bring people in that are doing some cool things in our communities. And one of them is this 16-year-old kid that is racing Formula 3 in our community, and he's having a lot of success. He's really fast. And we brought him in. I'm like, "Hey, do you have any, what track would you love to race on?" And I was expecting, him to say some nostalgic track, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, I would like to. I can't wait this year. I get to race in Austin with the Circuit of Americas." I was like, "Oh, that's a new track." I was disappointed. I was hoping he was like Sebring, or something like that, but he wasn't. He's like, "Oh, Sebring is so rough. It's so tough on cars," and I'm like, "Okay, I get it." He doesn't have that, but I would love to go watch a race at Sebring.
That's it always seems. I mean, I get to go to Daytona every year. I want to go. I wanted to go to Sebring this year, and it just couldn't work it out. So,
yeah. So, let me see if there's any other questions. We have plans to get together, George. Oh yeah, I think my brother's going down to the North Wilkesboro race, and he and George are planning to meet up. I think. Let's see.
The ticket prices this year are just a little high.
Yeah. Let's see.
I mean, last year I think it was $25 for the. Yeah, it was $48 for the 2 nights. I literally walk into North Wilkesboro into the infield, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. is right there because he was a big part of it. I go to reach for my phone, and then he's swarmed by people.
Sure.
So it's like, but at least he was within 15 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you don't have the access that you used to have in those places.
Well, there, in North Wilkesboro, you can walk anywhere.
Yeah.
At least you could that. I mean, that weekend, probably with the actual Cup races and stuff this year, or the All-Star race, I would imagine they're going to have much better security than it was that day. I really want to go to.
Where do you want to go?
I said I want to go to Le Mans. This year was not possible, and with it being 100 years, everything's twice the price it would be. But
right.
I was thinking going to England and driving to France. So.
Yeah, that would be that'd be pretty amazing. I was I'm trying to think how many years ago. It was probably 10, 11 years ago. I was in Germany. I was in Switzerland, and then road tripped to Germany. We have some friends that live there, and we had a day to kill. And they were like, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "How far is Le Mans from here? And can I take a train and just go see the track?" And we ended up going to Paris, which I don't regret, but it would have been really cool to check out that track for sure.
I mean, at least, is it a purpose-built track now? Or is it still part country roads and part?
I think it's purpose-built now.
Yeah, there's
it's been changed. Yeah. Converted. I don't think it's like it used to be.
Yeah, I was watching some thing on YouTube where you can actually go pay an entrance fee and drive Nürburgring.
Yeah.
In whatever car you want to drive it in.
Yep.
And the guy was complaining because he rented a sports car, a rental car, and went there, and they low jacked him off. They turned him off. So you can't take that car there, and they actually shut it down like he was stealing the car.
Oh, the rental place did.
Yeah. You can't take it there.
That's like back in the 60s when guys would rent the Mustangs from Hertz and weld the roll cages in them and race them for the weekend and return them.
Yeah. I used to, some years ago, I rented a house from somebody that had one of those Hertz GT350s.
Oh, yeah. They're worth a lot of money.
Yeah, he had it beautifully restored.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
He was kind of a jerk, but in a nice car. Landlords always are.
Yeah. Let's see here. We got another question. Will you be attending the Slot Car Festival in England?
No, I won't. Not this year. I was thinking possibly in the fall. I have family in England, so I could go.
Yeah.
Relatively economically. Right now, it's pretty much a full-time job making sure everything's ready to get shipped here.
I mean, are you getting close to the point where you can bring on additional help to?
We're getting all the, because I'm using lasers and things could actually hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Making sure that we have all of the LC and all that stuff done, because we didn't, I was thinking cottage industry, 5-10 kits a week.
Yeah.
And now getting all of that, set up so you can have payroll and, then you have to have the place inspected so people won't get hurt. And then it's hard to find anybody help in North Carolina.
So Mark says
there's help on signs everywhere.
Yeah, Mark says much of Le Mans is still public roadways. Didn't realize that. Big difference is the chicanes they put in on the straight. So thanks.
I know they changed the course, so that they changed the course, but I didn't know if they made it so different.
Yeah, John Albright. Yeah, Carboys used to rob parts from rentals. Hertz is doing that with the Shelby GT500.
Cool.
Yeah, so what else do we have? I was kind of rolling through your website. How can guys find you? Like, what's best way to get a hold of you through the website?
Yeah, the website is racetrackscenics.com. I'm on Facebook almost constantly at facebook.com /Racetrack Scenics. My phone number and email address is on the website. Prefer to, if you have if you can email me at racetrackscenics@gmail.com. It's always best to email me anything that needs to be followed up on later, but you can always text me or call me if you have a question, assembly question. If I can pick up, I will. If not, I will let you know when I can get right back with you. But yeah, if you're in North Carolina, you're welcome to come by and visit.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'd love to see your operation. So if I get down there, I've been trying to figure out how to get down to meet up with George. So when I do that, for sure.
He's 20 minutes from me.
All right. There you go. Any other questions in the chat, guys? Anything else you want him to cover? Kevin, this has been great.
I got to get one suggestion. Get one suggestion out of your gallery of wonderful people.
Okay, so suggestion of what you should make next?
Yeah, what product would you like to see that no one is doing?
I saw John Albright said multi-bay. I think that's what you were working on, right? Or you just finished the multi-bay pit?
We have the vintage Ream style, European style comes in 2 and 4 bay.
Okay.
That are modular, that can be put together in whatever length that you would like. I have a modern one that has 2 bays or 4 bays, and that's something that we could, in theory, make any one of them as many as you like.
Sure.
As long as you would like. The bigger something is, the fewer people will want it.
Right.
So if you want something that's if you want a 8-bay pit, we could do that. We'll just modify the 4-bay pit and make it an 8-bay pit.
Sure. The Slot Car Dojo said, "I would help Kevin. I can complete pre-made kits for you."
We actually have one partner already, and I'm looking for someone else that would like to build kits, and we'll sell them on the website, and the profit over and above the kit sale would go to him.
Oh, nice.
As I originally was doing a lot of that and enjoyed it, but it's after you've made 40 of something, it's hard to put your heart and soul into it.
Yeah. No.
And I would love to have someone do that.
We have some suggestions. Let's see. Steve
Great.
Sweeney says hay bales.
Well, I can't really laser cut hay bales.
That's kind of tough. John Tucci says winner circle.
We are working on that right now.
There you go, John.
A podium, victory lane.
Yeah. And
when you walk into a raceway in the old days, they would have, a big, elaborate welcome race fans, and there'd be a flag and, that kind of thing. So that kind of vibe.
Yeah, Racer X says he appreciates that you do all scales. Yeah, I think that's great that you offer that.
That's one of the things that, I loved HO when I was a kid. You could have it at your house, and I loved 1/64 scale and 1/43 scale. And the other great thing is, and it was Dave Kennedy in one of his broadcasts mentioned this and took it to heart, was that if you can build little villages, maybe off on a side of a hill, and you could like a forced perspective type thing. Yeah. You could use a smaller building, a smaller sign, or something like that to make an area look cool.
Right.
It may not look perfect, like if you walk right up to it, like it's not 1/32 scale, but you can do really neat things with that. And the signage, and then signs, anything that's like kind of ubiquitous or size-wise signs. A 1/64 scale sign looks just as cool as a 1/32 scale sign in the right context.
Right.
You know, you wouldn't want to put a 1/64 scale pit garage on a 1/32 scale thing, or vice versa. But signage, things that you might make a diorama out of, things like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but if like I into 1/32 scale right now, and if you run into something like if you run into something really cool, it's not 1/32 scale. It's 1/43 scale or 1/64 scale or some other 1/24 scale. Like like, oh cool, there's this thing and it's got thing. You look at it real closely, it's the wrong scale.
Grandson of Man says, "I want the Carvana car tower to hold cars." Steve,
that is actually, we got one of those here in this area, and that's not a bad idea.
There you go. Watch on the website, Grandson of Man. Steve Sweeney says outhouses. Dan Wanley says
have
shipping containers. 3
of those designed, and they're just not. The instructions are oddly on the website, but I haven't put them up for sale yet.
Gotcha.
So I'm going to have to get to those right away. So
shipping containers. John Albright asked control tower in the middle, so he must be referring to the pit building. Do you have the ability to put a control tower in the pit building?
Yes, I actually have. One of the 30-some unreleased products is a generic race control tower.
Okay, gotcha. There you go, John.
We originally had it. We released it originally. If you look on my Facebook page, you'll find pictures of it. But it wasn't good enough, so we've redesigned it, and it's excellent now.
Okay, cool.
So, was it 2-sided billboards?
No, it was 2 lines billboard with. I think he was asking for my logo. Laguna Seca Tower.
Send it to me.
All right. Laguna Seca Tower.
You're talking about the Viper 6-sided tower?
Yeah, Jim.
Or email me what a picture of it.
Yeah, Jim.
Laguna Seca is something that I wanted to get back to.
Okay, cool. You heard it, Jim.
The Viper Tower, the Viper like hospitality thing. It's another one I really need to get some better pictures of. We want to do that. It shows up better in slot car, or excuse me, sim racing than it is in actual pictures. So.
Yeah. DeJuan Clark says, make posts for overpasses to support 4-lane across.
Got it. That is getting released like in the next day. I
saw the one you posted on Facebook.
Yeah, there's a 2-lane and a 4-lane version.
Okay, there you go, DeJuan. He's got a 4-lane version coming.
It's for 4-lane Carrera or Carrera 2-lane with shoulders.
Okay.
And it's not to say that it couldn't work with any other track, and it'll also be available 1/43 scale and 1/64 scale.
Nice. Yeah, I thought that looked great. What you posted.
It really does look great. It was one of those things that I did for my own layout last summer, and I originally thought no one's going to buy this because it will be, it's not going to be cheap, but then it's going to cost about the same price as, about $20 a foot, which is a lot, but it's about the same price as, or it's not that much more than buying a piece of track. And we designed it in such a way that you can configure it and take it down and put it back up. So if you decide, you don't have to glue it all together.
Okay.
You only have to glue a small portion of it together, so you can configure it in many different ways. So if you change your layout and you want to use it as a different thing or whatever, you can just take it down and it comes apart in smaller pieces. So it's not something that you would build it in. If you had tore down your track, you end up breaking it. It's something that you could configure.
Slot Car Dojo, old school Daytona control tower.
We have, you're talking about the one that's on top of the grandstand. It says Daytona Speedway USA. That we have already.
Yeah.
It's,
it's up there.
Part of the. It's called it's the Watkins Glen Riverside. It's an option for the Watkins Glen Riverside Giant Grandstand,
Okay.
and it adds the superstructure on top, and it's really great. If you look up Alex DeYoung, he's the first guy that's finished one. I've sold half a dozen of them, but it's one of those kits that's got a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
When we first put it together, I was joking with Johan, who's the incredible designer of all these wonderful things. Um, I joke, my wife is coming home. Shh, don't tell anybody. Anyway, uh, it's like this Lego Death Star of slot cars.
Right.
It's expensive. It seats 440 people, not counting the superstructure. It's awesome,
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
it uses this like a ton of material. It weighs
Yeah.
40 pounds when you ship it. A porta potty.
Yeah, I think you already.
That's kind of better done 3D printing, but
Yeah,
I'll
I
see
think
if
so.
we can pull that off.
Flagpole scenic benches around it, maybe like a flagpole. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, we're talking about that, and then it's one of the trying to find a supplier for actual flags that are cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It's like if you go on anywhere looking for flags, they're either too small or too big. Because that's something flagpoles and stuff you can find on with cloth flags you can find on Amazon and stuff.
Yeah.
But none of them are 1/32 scale.
Right. Sean Casey, an Italian-style town buildings veneer. So that goes back to when you were talking about making large brick and stone wall type of material.
We do have. As far he says veneer, I think he means facade.
Yeah.
Like the front part of it.
Right.
Definitely have plans to do that.
That's cool.
My first thing would be to do something that's kind of like Monaco, old style Monaco with
Yes.
and then just have it be the front, because doing the whole building would be silly. And then plus we really like Spa, and there's some really cool buildings in there.
That's awesome.
We have 31 things we haven't released yet. Once we get those done. What was that about Atlanta?
Original Road Atlanta timing and scoring tower.
That is in the works. I was just there, and
cool.
they showed me around. They were super nice. Some of the nicest people. I don't know if they're the people from Road Atlanta, but just basically everybody I've met that's somewhat associated with an IMSA track are like super nice.
Yeah.
Accommodating, or they're driving me around in the rain. It was the weekend of Sebring, but I had to be in Atlanta for Friday and somewhere else on Monday. So, but they were driving me around the track. That's a beautiful track. It's just, I got some great pictures, and they shared a couple old pictures of that particular control tower. The new one's cool, but the old one's really cool. I really like the old one.
Yeah. So. Curvy Road says an RV, Class A RV.
Yeah, that's something that's a little tough to do with
that is.
laser.
Can I quit my job and build kits? Let's see.
If you work at a car wash, probably. If you have a real job. Not to assault anybody that actually works at a car wash. Actually, those guys make a lot of money.
Yes, they do. Yeah, so that's what. Yep, we already talked about that, building facades. That's cool. Yep. That's a good idea. Indy Pagoda.
Yes, we're talking about that. I actually did a test with the right acrylic to do the right color windows. So yeah,
that's cool.
That's going to be another Death Star type thing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's cool.
However, I think it'd be one of those things if you order the 1/43rd scale for your 1/32nd scale track, it might be better. That's one of the things I wanted to bring up. Like everybody's talking about the Riverside Tower, it's huge. I mean, I think it's 12 inches by 12 inches square by 28 inches tall. That's without flagpoles. It's really big for most people's tracks, but if you order the 1/43rd scale, it looks amazing, even though it's not the right scale.
Yeah.
So if anybody was like been put off, I didn't want to get that because it wouldn't fit on my track. The 1/43 scale looks really cool. Even the 1/64 scale looks great anywhere.
Sure.
So.
Jim Cunningham responded, yes, the 6-sided tower. He's sending you a photo. So
Cool.
yeah. Let's see here. Daryl says an alien mothership for George's new track. Yeah, George is like, I have the Chinese balloon already. That's funny. Yeah, a lot of the Italian style building comments. What else?
One of the things we want to do, and it was a suggestion from Dave, was the front of the Ferrari factory, which is on our list of things to do, and that will be cool. And then we could add in the buildings around it. I think it'd be really cool.
That would be really cool.
Le Mans Michelin scoring tower. The one that looks like a hockey stick.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one he's referring to.
Yeah, we're actually have something like that in mind. I don't know if you're working on that. Needs to have a working LED, and I'm actually working on that and
cool.
some software to actually run it. And I'm giving away trade secrets, but when that comes out, that will be, people will flip out, because it's basically, we'll have an HDMI cord, and it will have, you can either get two panels or one panel, and you can pump anything you want to it, or I want to do it an app that will put up historic race results. I have no clue on how to do, like, connected to an ARC or the Carrera thing, but I'm going to build it in such a way, if somebody could probably figure out how to hack it, because it's essentially an HDMI panel, so you can connect it to a Raspberry.
Sure, yeah.
But that's something that's going to be, the material costs are going to be over $100. So
yeah.
Whether anybody's going to want to buy it, but it's basically be the coolest slot car guy ever. If you
that would be awesome. Yeah. Cigarette beer stand.
We've got the Budweiser stand and already, and then we're doing another one.
The Targa
Floria building.
Yep.
Yes.
Tasty
High on the list.
Tasty Freeze building. I had a Tasty Freeze near us. I grew up. Gas station.
Well, we have like the generic American snack bar.
Yeah, that would be easily could be converted to that for sure.
Definitely could be. As a matter of fact, I was thinking of just redoing the artwork, because it already says ice cream and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at it's under buildings, and it's called the Riverside All American Snack Bar. That really is every Dairy Queen, vintage Dairy Queen Tasty Freeze.
Yeah.
Joe's Barbecue, whatever.
You can make it anything. Yeah, Tammy Macker says, I bought a few billboards and 2 towers over the winter. They were a joy to paint and assemble. Look fantastic when done. Great work. So good job.
Oh, thank you. Try to make him as fun as possible to put together.
Yeah. Slot Journal says the Jumbotron, which is kind of what that would be. The Michelin sign.
The Michelin sign would be a Jumbotron. Boone's actually got a cool thing which you could use to put an iPad in, which you can make yourself.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I haven't made something like that is he's really got that nailed, and it really is a fun project to do. And then you can make it to fit whatever piece of technology that you want. One of the things that I wanted to do, I want to do the new scoreboard for Daytona, the new one. It's got a big Jumbotron on it, and but it's like, what size do you make it? Because
right.
People are going to already have an iPad or a Fire, whatever they call those. So they're already going to have that. In how do we, have to customize it or make it in such a way that you could just snap out what you needed.
Let's see. This is from Raul. Your other page has a lot of examples of others adding to their kits with lights and extra things.
Yeah. you can add kits to all of my lights to all of my kits, and a lot of my personal on my track have added lights, and I use. If you go to Home Depot, they have under cabinet strip lights. It's like 16 feet long, and you can cut them into smaller sections and solder wires to them, and you could light your whole track for $30 with a remote control.
Yeah.
And that's how I did it. There's lots of better ways to do it, or more realistic ways, but most of the time you can't see the lights anyway. You just see the light. So that's what I've done, and but there's Woodland Scenics, the other Scenics, has a really great setup for doing lighting. Yeah. You can always add lights to things. There a couple of our kits have lights already included, but once they're gone, it's just too expensive for me to provide those lights that you could get really super cheap on Amazon. So I've pretty much abandoned having lights included.
Yeah.
Because you can get them, so inexpensively, and I'm happy to help you find them. If I bought them then I would have to mark them up, pay taxes on them, and deal with any that didn't work. So I always just suggest the strip lights, which work great. If you can know how to solder, you can make 150 lights out of, more than that, out of one $25 investment. Plus, there's all kinds of options. What we're using for our lighting towers, which we don't have on the website right now, but will soon, were dome light replacements that are LEDs, and they're a square, 1 inch square, or a little shy of 1 inch square with a backing on it. You can stick it to wherever, and they dimmable and look great. And you can get 12 of them on eBay for $10.
Right.
And there's just so many options that you could buy yourself cheaper that would,
Yeah, Conquest says that he has a huge iPhone-like screen in his office that he uses as a program for trade shows. The app is web-based. As long as you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can control the screens. So, yeah, it might be an option for when you build the Michelin sign.
Well, the Michelin sign it's like a hockey puck. So, I mean, it's like a hockey stick. Yeah. So it needs to be like a 9 by, or whatever, 16 by 9 or whatever the HD size is. Yeah. But then it can only be about 4 inches.
Yeah, it's a pretty small screen.
Wide. And I've got them, and they work great. It's just finishing it up.
Yeah, Garth.
And then wondering if somebody...
Hey, Garth, 92 minutes. Oh, wow. So, but yeah, it's 9:30. Kevin, I want to be conscious of your time. This has been fantastic.
No, I appreciate it.
This
has been great.
Yeah, guys, make sure we'll wrap things up here, but make sure you go to racetrackscenics.com. Check out the site. There's so many great things to add to your scenery and your layouts and your slot car tracks. And I guess we hear Dave Kennedy talk about it all the time about how he thinks that that's the next wave is just more and more people getting into scenery. Get the track, get the layout, and then add scenery. It's all part of the enjoyment of slot cars. And so, you have some awesome options for us, and we appreciate what you're doing, Kevin. It's I know it's been kind of crazy and hectic, but you're doing great work, and we're proud to have you in our hobby.
Well, I appreciate that. It's been a blessing for me, and a blessing for my family. My son and my wife enjoy it. My wife was helping me paint something yesterday, she did a fantastic job.
That's great.
So can we do a coupon for your wonderful people?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay. So I'm going to add it to my site this evening.
Okay.
And we'll call it 2 lanes 25.
Okay.
25%.
25.
Two lines.
Yep,
2 lines. 2 lines? 2 lanes.
2 lines. Yep.
2 lines 25. Give me about
Awesome.
20 minutes to put it up there, and it'll be 25% off any order for the next 17 minutes, 7 days.
2 lines.
Next 7 days.
All right.
You want to text me that, and I'll make sure that I got it right.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Here it is. 2 lines 25.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
L-I-N-E-S.
I'll add that to the website. So anybody wants to buy anything, get 25% off.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks. I appreciate you doing that.
No, thank you. Everybody, thank you so much. And I feel so blessed. Johan feels so blessed. Everybody's been so supportive, and we hope that you enjoy our products. Continue to enjoy our products, and if there's anything we can do for you, please reach out. I am extremely responsive most of the time. 2 lines 25.
2 lines 25.
Marty,
Guys,
thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. Guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. This has been great. We'll catch up next Tuesday, 8 p.m., just like always. And, don't forget roastcoffee.com, where 2 lines get you 25% off your first purchase. Thanks for taking care of Trent at Roast Coffee. And this has been fantastic. Guys,
Awesome. Thanks.
Great night. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.